I hope you all are ready to have your towns burned to the ground because it seems we have George Floyd 2.0 on our hands. And we saw how the completely and totally rational protesters handled it last time, burning everything good to the ground. So, what we have here is the case of Jordan Neely. If you haven't heard about this yet, this man was a mentally ill guy. He was shouting on a train, making threats, acting aggressive towards other passengers, and a 24-year-old who sources show that he may have been a former Marine stepped in, saved the day, if you will, put the man in a chokehold, and held him there. Now, we have a few problems with this case. One, the guy who stepped in should not be prosecuted. He should not be charged with anything. It's a clear and cut case of self defense, right? This guy, he's going around, he's threatening people, he's acting aggressive, he's known for being mentally ill. The only logical conclusion is to step in and, you know, you have to subdue the guy, right? This guy is clearly getting violent. So this guy, this 24-year-old guy, he was being a hero and he stepped in and he saved the day. He the man in the chokehold. Unfortunately, it took first responders 15 minutes, it seems, to have actually gotten to the crime scene. There's the issue for you. That's what you get when you take away all the money from the police, right? Takes them longer to get to the pace, right? The scene of the crime. When you take the money away from the first responders, it's going to take them more time to get to the crime scene. But it should not have taken 15 minutes. There's no reason it should have taken that long. And it forced him to be put in a chokehold for longer than it should have been. It should have been no longer than 5 minutes. That's how long it really should have taken for first responders to get there. That's the real problem here. But anybody who claims this 24-year-old should go to jail for this is ridiculous. This guy, it's very possible that he saved someone's life that day. This man, Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old mentally ill man, a guy who's known for being crazy, you never know if he would have snapped and done some serious physical damage to somebody. He's clearly a disturbed guy, and he was making active physical threats, screaming, causing a lot of problems. It was only right for this guy to step in. And if they look at this former Marine, right? This guy, if it's true that he is a former Marine, if they just kick him to the ground and throw him in jail for this, let him take the fall, that says a lot about how our government and how our country views Marines and the armed forces in general. The amount of disrespect they've put on these young men who they sent to die in these pointless wars, these endless wars, it's disgusting. It's disturbing. We treat our veterans so poorly in this country, and we may be seeing another case of that again here. Um, but yeah, this guy, he's on drugs, right? He's on drugs. He's crazy. So he steps in, puts him in the chokehold, holds him there for 15 minutes because it takes way too long for first responders to get there. And he ends up passing away a little bit afterwards, which, obviously unfortunate. We don't want anyone to die, but it's self defense. There's no other way to put this. This is George Floyd 2.0, right? A guy who, he's crazy. He put himself in a really bad situation, and then he had to pay the consequences. And then he ended up unfortunately passing away. Not really due to the fault of the guy who was, on George Floyd's case, choking him or here a chokehold. This guy it's even worse. It's not even George Floyd. It's not really George Floyd equivalent. Like it's not like he had a knee on a neck or anything. Which, by the way, I question if that's actually what killed George Floyd. But I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, so I'm gonna keep that down. But yeah, obviously, this guy, he steps in, possibly saves people, keeps him in the chokehold because you can't just release him, right? You can't just be like, "Oh man, you're struggling. I'm just gonna release you," because he's gonna freak out and start swinging, and you don't know what he has on him. Maybe he has a knife in his pocket or something. You never know. It's just not worth like the risk. You can't let like a crazy person out of a chokehold once you get them there. This guy would have hurt somebody if he lets go of him. This guy was a hero to step in. And if we mistreat him and throw him to jail, that is disgusting on our government's part to treat a former veteran like that. And on top of all this, if people start burning stuff down, like, what are we doing in our country at this point? I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we've burned stuff down over smaller things, but our country's falling apart. Nobody sees truth anymore. Nobody cares about reality at this point. They just like to be angry, so they get all stirred up over these little things that happen. And people like being heroes and saving the day. They don't like that. They don't like the idea of that. They want everything to be racist for some reason. So, they get angry and start burning stuff down, and they'll probably go down, burn down black communities like they did last time. BLM has done significantly more damage to black communities than actually helping them. Awful organization, and I think most of us recognize that at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the video on that note though. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share the video. It really helps me out. And the only way we're gonna take back this country is together. So join the fight. But I'm gonna head out. So long, peace out, and God bless y'all.